Hi everybody, I'm Stefan for a-post.com, and in this tutorial we are going to create a high-tech voting interface as you saw from the preview video. So let's get started. Here is our footage. Drop it into a new comp, and first thing what we need to do is to select the area because we need to track the DVD disc. Let's track it from here. Hit B to set the beginning of the work area and go to the end to find the end, and the end is right about here. And by the way, I'm pressing page up and page down to move one frame forward and backward, and the end is here, so hit N to set the end of the work area. After that, press Ctrl M or Command M on a Mac, and let's choose a JPEG format and hit OK, and let's call it DVD track. Hit save and render, and we are exporting this to import it in Mocha and track it, and after that import the tracking data back in After Effects and continue the work on this project. So I'm going to stop the video now and come back when it's done. The render is ready, so here we are in Mocha for CS4, and by the way I'm using After Effects CS4 version, but we can use CS3. Just need to find a standalone version of Mocha for After Effects to do it that way. And let's import our footage. And by the way, this is my previous track which I did, so let's open the new one. Hit open, click next, again click next, and choose the frame rate, which is 25 in my case, and hit finish. And here we are. So let's choose the Bezier tool of the Mocha to draw the shape, and let's find a point, maybe right around here. Okay, let's try it, and hit Z to bring up the zoom tool and zoom, and after that hit X to pan in the preview window, and let's draw a shape around our disk. It's very easy. It's like a After Effects pen tool. Let's adjust the shape a bit, tighten it up like so, and looks great. So let's zoom out and track forward. And by the way, in this version of Mocha, when tracking you can zoom out, pan, and do stuff like that without stop the tracking. So it will take some time to track this because it's a full HD footage. So again, I'm going to pause the video and come back when the track is ready. Our track of this part is ready, so let's move to this point here, or maybe a frame behind this, a frame forward, and click track backwards button. Just wanted to show you this step, so if you are not familiar with Mocha, to save you some time of wondering how to do it. So again, I'm going to pause the video because it will take some time to track this, and come back when it's done. Our track is almost done, as you can see. So yep, we are ready with the track. As you can see, it's a rock solid track, which is very important for this kind of effect we are going for. And let's click on export tracking data, and there are two options for this version, and I'm going to use the After Effects transform data and copy to clipboard. Let's jump in back into After Effects. And by the way, it's good to put a marker here and here, and I'm pressing the star key on the numpad. Don't know if it has a specific name. And let's create a layer, new object, and let's rename it track, and turn off the visibility, or turn it on. Let's hit Ctrl V and hit U to review the keyframes and see the tracking data. And as you can see, our new object is here, and we want it here in the center of the disk. So let's delete the anchor point data, which is exactly the same like the position data, and hit right click and reset to make the new object in the center of the disk. And now, as you can see, it's following the disk. So let's there is kind of a rotation, as you can see, and scale, which we don't want actually, because the disk isn't rotating that much and it will cause problems. So let's delete the scale and rotation data, set the scale to 100 and the rotation to 0. We only want the 2D position track. So with that, let's turn off this layer. Let's save our project again, because After Effects might crash. And the first thing that we are going to do is create the interface in the middle of the disk. So let's create a new composition, 500 by 500 pixels, and let's call it disk gadget. Let's choose the ellipse tool and double click to create a new shape layer. Open the shape layer properties and make it smaller, like so, and increase the stroke to maybe 10. After that, add a modifier to this, which is this one here, trim paths, and we are going to trim our circle like so. And actually we are going to decrease the size, and we are going to wiggle this, just a simple wiggle expression, maybe 2 times 180 degrees, and it will generate such movement. And you can delete this wiggle rotation, this wiggle expression from here, and paste it to the rotation of the layer. I prefer to make it this way because it's faster for me. Let's duplicate this layer, size it down, increase the stroke, and maybe change the wiggle to something like that to get some random movement. And again, duplicate this layer, size it down, decrease the stroke maybe, and change the wiggle to something else. Let's see, like that, and increase this to get just a random movement that looks great and cool. And let's select the pen tool and turn on the action title safe area and draw a shape like this, and maybe we want a straight line, something like that, and set the stroke to 5. Turn off the title action safe area, and let's call this dashes. And let's add a repeater modifier. And by the way, I created a quick tip about this a while ago, so it might be familiar to you. Set at 36 copies of this dash and set the rotation to 10 degrees, which means that it will create a copy every 10 degrees for the 360 degrees, and this makes 36 copies which are offset with 10 degrees. So that's okay. Let's hit this S to scale this and increase the scale maybe, and duplicate it, Control D, and scale it down to create like a smaller shape, and hit R for rotation and just type a wiggle expression again. And for this one maybe try something different, for example like so. Let's see if that works. It will generate a constant movement, and this is a bit fast. Let's try something like that, and let's see. I think this looks great, and I'm not going to waste your time explaining everything in this project because it's going to take forever. If you want to make it cooler, add more details and create cooler parts here, you can add some more shapes. I'm going to stick with that for the moment. So close this comp, and to keep our project organized, let's create a new folder and let's call it interface elements, and let's drop our interface elements here and take this into our main composition, and make sure that all of your elements are long enough for the animation. And I'm going to trim my main composition because it's longer than it needs to be. So let's trim it about here, and maybe some more frames like so, and right click, trim comp to work area. After that, let's try to find a good point around here. Hit S to scale this down and scale it to fit the size of the disk. So I think 30, 34, yeah, it's good enough. And place it here and link it to our track no object, and as you can see it follows our disk. So we're ready with this part. At the end we are going to add a motion blur to each element. Now let's create another new composition and let's call it buttons disk. Let's create a stroke and let's make it bigger, like 50, and size it down like so. And again let's add a trim paths modifier to this, and we need to trim it like so. 6 works good, I think, and let's make it 75, and then offset this and decrease the size to 380, and let's duplicate this layer and let's create another offset with, and we are going to offset this with 30 units. So this is great, and another one. Great. So this is going to be our side element right here. It's a bit big, so we're going to decrease the size of the stroke, and let's say 62 if that works, or even 60. And let's track it to our disk, and let's find a point where we want to appear all those parts. I think right about here is a good point to review the elements. So let's put a marker on our footage. Let's link this to our track, and let's animate the main part. So set this to 0 and set this to negative 180 degrees and move 5 or 6 frames forward, and we are going to have some animation here and decrease the motion blur amount for this composition. And by the way, I'm pressing Ctrl K to bring up the composition settings. And maybe here we are going to review our another element and make it easy as the last keyframe. And let's add a motion blur. Maybe bring this frame here. It looks great for now, and let's move on. We are going to line up this element where I press the button here. So we need to make the animation happen in this composition with this shape. So let's duplicate this shape, and let's see if we can increase the size. So we're going to animate the stroke size for 5 frames or so, just something like that. And as you can see, the animation happens when I push this thing, and after that we are going to animate this because I'm rotating the element. So from this point, let's hit R for the rotation and animate it to this point here, like so, and maybe line it up like so, and maybe put an easy keyframe here again, and that's basically it. So the next thing we are going to do is our main interface panel here, and in the preview, as you can see, we have some interface here, the main panel, some other interfaces here that maybe I'm not going to show you how to do because it's very easy, and we are running out of time here because it's a tedious process and takes a lot of time. So let's move on. Let's find the part where I start to scroll the logos, about here. Let's open the Touch logos and let's hit Ctrl R to bring the rulers and create a marker and set this to 15. I found this size work great for my case, and let's line up the logos. and I'm going to pause the video, put all logos here and continue. Here are all the logos, as you can see, and now let's create a new no object, and let's rename it logos and link all the logos to this no object. Also, actually, excuse me, that was my bad. Rewind the new object here and then link all the logos, because we are going to flip them in order to make it more realistic, because they are facing towards the actor, and that's the reason we need to flip them. So let's animate the position. Let's bring the logos here, set a keyframe and animate them like so. And let's see, let's put another keyframe here. Right here, and animate the logos. And basically we need to bring this down like so here. Duplicate the A-Tuts logo and the logos no object and put this on top, and link the A-Tuts logo to this no object, and let's select the actually delete that, sorry, delete that, and hit P for the A-Tuts logo, because we are going to pick up this logo and we need to line up our animation, as you can see here. So we are going to move it to the one side, and let's see if we pick the A-Tuts logo. It takes a bit, yes, it takes a bit of time to tweak this. And let's animate the A-Tuts Plus logo like so. We are putting this logo right here, and as you can see we need to adjust our animation. And by the way, hit Ctrl Alt K to bring the keyframe interpolation window and set the keyframes to linear, because we want a linear movement. And you can spend more time to fine-tune this animation. I'm going to make it just real quick. So let's put this logo here, and another very important thing that we forgot to do is to link the logo's new object to our track. And as you can see, this affects our animation a bit. Let's set the first keyframe to easy ease, and let's readjust our logo. Maybe delete this keyframe. And that looks good. And after we are ready with this, let's duplicate the A-Tuts logo, link it to this new object, and pre-compose the rest of the logos and new object. Ctrl Shift C to pre-compose, and let's call this logos and hit OK, and move 10 frames backwards, or maybe not. After pre-composing this, link it immediately to the track, because otherwise we are going to have some mistakes we are going to need to fix after that. So let's move 10 frames backwards and trim the ATETS logo like so, and open this composition and trim it like so. And the idea for this is because if we want to manipulate this logo later on, we can write in the main comp instead of opening the logos comp and then playing with it. So after that we are going to create a interface panel here using the After Effects powerful shape layers. So let's come to this point here, and let's see, our panel has a bit bigger stroke than we need, but we are going to readjust that and set the stroke to 2 pixels and link it to the track, and we are going to create a matte for the logos, because we want them to appear only in the interface, not out of it. So like so, create the shapes and turn on the layer, hit F and set the feather to 5 pixels and set it to alpha inverted matte. This way the logos will appear like so. And we need to reveal our animation here, so we are going to do that very easy. Right after we turn this element here, right here, we're going to create another layer and make it, let's call it stroke, and choose the pen tool and just draw a stroke and then apply a effect generate stroke, and on transparent paint style spacing set this to 0, brush hardness to 100, and turn on the layer and then animate the stroke. But before that, link it to our main track, move 5 frames forward and set the animation to 100%. Let's rename this to main panel. Let's open it and apply trim paths again. It seems that it's a very common modifier in my workflow. So let's animate the trim and offset this like so. Offset it and animate it for 6 frames, for example. It happens very fast, or more. Let's make it more for this case. And after that we are going to animate the logos comp. Just set the opacity to 0, move 2 frames forward and set it to 70, move 2 frames forward, set it to 20, 2 frames forward, 70, 2 frames forward, 20, and repeat that to make it like a blinking appear animation, and we are going to use that a lot in this project. After that, we are going to create another shape. Let's see, right here we are going to create another shape and animate it and link it to our main panel. And everything you put in the main panel, link this to this shape layer, not to the main track, because if you want to manipulate the main panel or move it, we want everything inside of it to move with the main frame. So that's the reason why we're doing that. And let's see, let's turn our new object here for the O's, and let's animate this stroke here, again using the trim paths modifier. Move a couple of frames forward, animate, and that's okay. So let's create another stroke, which will be right here to separate the main window. So let's put it right here, and again using the trim modifier, oops, I forgot to link this stroke. So just real quick, I'm going to make it and link it to the main panel, and then animate this. I'm trying to do it as quick as I can. Move a couple of frames forward, and let's say from here, and then let's create some random numbers here. I'm going to create a text layer, empty text layer, and open a notepad, and here are some expressions that we are going to use in this project. I'm not very good with the expressions, so I collect them in notepad files and use them. It's easier for me instead of remembering everything. I'm not good at writing codes and stuff like that. So just copy this, open this text layer, open the text, out click on the source text and paste the expression, and you are going to get some random text here. Let's set the text size to 20. Let's flip it, set the opacity to 70, and link it to our main panel, and just duplicate and move to the bottom. And basically the idea is that we want to create a kind of a array from random numbers or code on something which is very high tech. I think this is enough for this. And in the main example I animated these elements to appear with the opacity animation here that we did. and I'm going to pre-compose this because we're getting too much layers in our main comp. So let's rename this numbers. Again, track it to the link it to the main panel, open it up, and let's see, we want our animation to happen right here, and just copy these opacity keyframes and paste them here, and then just offset the layers like so. You can use a script which is layer random shifter or something like that, but basically the idea is to get this kind of animation. I did it real quick here. You can spend more time making it core and set the opacity to 70 here, and set the opacity here to 60, and 60 we want transparent elements because this is a hologram interface, it's not a solid core.